dancing with them."
I squinted suspiciously at the coachman. "That sounds highly unlikely." He snorted, but he looked confused. I suppose he had expected me to be frightened.
"All I'm telling you," he said, "is you'd better watch yourself. Odd things happen in these hills. Betsy Guilford's cow once wandered up that very path and was next found atop Potts Peak, its hide written all over with gibberish."
"I think perhaps you shouldn't believe everything Betsy Guilford tells you," I said, pulling down my hat. "But thank you for the warning. I'm sure I'll be all right." I smiled at him. "They're expecting me." The coachman guffawed.
"No doubt they are."
He gave me one last sharp look, which I did not like at all. Then, with a flick of his reins, he turned the coach on a precarious corner and thundered back down the mountain into the gathering gloom. I had been the last passenger on the stagecoach. I'd boarded it in the city of Manzamere, squeezing myself in between the door and a many-chinned old lady eating plums. She had been very nice and had shared her plums with me, as well as everything I could possibly want to know about her 7 children and 32 grandchildren. But she disembarked at Gorlitz, and slowly, one by one, all the other passengers had gotten out too, at villages and hamlets and farms. I'd watched them embracing old acquaintances, vanishing into houses and through creaking garden gates. It made me excited for my own journey's end. I was an orphan, and until 3 days ago had believed I would remain so for the rest of my life. But fate had other plans, and let me know of them in the oddest way imaginable. I was in Mrs. Bolivar's back garden, balancing on a chair, on top of another chair, on top of an enormous pink hat box, trying to lift a cat from its precarious position atop the boiler, when the scarecrow arrived with a letter. "Just a moment," I called above the shrilling doorbell. The cat hissed and battered at me with its claws. It was an odd-looking thing, rather shadowy, its teeth a bit too long. In a stern voice, I said to it, "Look, you're going to be stuck up there forever if you don't let me help you." The cat gave me a supercilious stare. "Isn't it a bit hot up there? Aren't you burning?" Now the cat looked as if it were grinning at me. The bell rang again. "I said just a moment," I shouted. And from inside, Mrs. Bolivar shouted too, her ancient voice only slightly less shrill than the bell. "Who is making that infernal racket? Go answer the door, girl." I was employed as a maid by Mrs. Bolivar, who was a widow and lived in Cricktown, far out in the middle of nowhere. Mrs. Bolivar was 97 and walked with a cane. As for me, I was 12, tall and underfed, with wild black hair, the sort of hair you might call curly if you were charitable, or if you were Mrs. Bolivar. A hopeless briar patch, so bewitched by the fairies that combs and hairpins become irretrievably lost in it. "What an extraordinary-looking girl," she had said when I'd first arrived from the orphanage, and I don't think she'd meant it as a compliment. I must have taken too long to answer the bell, because in the end the scarecrow clambered right over the garden wall to reach me. I had just landed with a squelch in the grass when I was confronted with a pair of legs, clad in ragged paisley trousers. My gaze travelled upward until I was looking into eyes made from large silver buttons. "Oh," I thought, flinching a little. The scarecrow was very old, practically falling to pieces. Mushrooms grew from its face, and its coattails were rotting and mossy. But the envelope it held was not old. It was thick-papered and creamy, stamped with a knobble of black wax in the shape of a raven. The scarecrow said nothing to me. It only bowed very low, handed me the letter, and then clambered back over the wall, its wooden bones creaking. I saw the top of its stovepipe hat skimming away as it sauntered down the alley. I stood for a moment, looking at the letter. "For Zita Brydgeborn," it said in large coiling script.